the administrator at NASA. We're passengers. We're guys going on a flight.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief. Did you see shooting stars? Did you see the shooting stars?
Yeah, I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of noise going on. So I don't know the results of some of the experiments they've conducted. The point is they can't get that far from here, and they're really in the protective confines of the Earth. They're really in the protective confines of the Earth. They're really in the protective
International Space Crew attempted a spacewalk outside the station. Here's a live look at the astronauts. Well, I don't believe that's where's their space?
So this is photo trickery and brainwashing that's got the world thinking that we're on a ball spinning around the sun with a magical force called gravity holding us on the underside of this spinning ball. It's all just brainwashing that we've received. It's pseudoscience accepted as legit science. But real science has confirmed geocentricity in the flat Earth. Flat Earth. Flat Earth. The best way to brainwash the whole world, to lie to the whole world about what the world is. In reality, we're not a cosmic accidental sneeze, nothingness turned everything. This is quite obviously intelligently designed, this thing we're experiencing here, this life, this universe. I can't believe anyone in their right mind can look me in the eyes with a straight face and say, no man, it's all random.
Be open-minded about this. This is very, very controversial and difficult to get your head round. The first of which is the scientific method, something that the scientific community doesn't seem to use these days. But the scientific method is where a theory or opinion is put forward that matches what we observe. The other thing we have to accept is how easily our minds, once they've been programmed or given a world view, how easily those minds can be fooled.
I used to dream, I used to glance beyond the stars. Now I don't know where we are, although I know we're drifting by.
Isn't spinning or orbiting or being dragged. The Earth is fixed and it's the stars that are moving.
People can't stand change. They don't like what they don't understand. We all have our own pursuit of happiness. Don't listen to someone's story then say, and what? You need more? Is their happiness not good enough for you? So you judge them like you know. True happiness brings happiness to others. We are all a family, separate family trees connected at the root. We are intelligent beings with the mind, body, and soul who truly want world peace. At least that's my goal. What happened to love? All I see is hate. The way we treat others on earth, death and chaos is our only fate. Every living thing has value and should be treated as such. We only have one earth, but act like we have so much. Do you not realize we are in control, not the 2%, who so-called own the world because it was money well spent? When there is no food, will you eat the money? When there is nothing left, will you still think this is funny? Remember, I warned you. I hope I opened your eyes so the world really gets better before it's too late to realize. Please spread the word. Please spread the word. Please spread the word. Please spread the word.
And now you're fucking brainwashed. A dull brain, easy to please. And now you're fucking brainwashed. You've lost your faculties. Now you're fucking brainwashed.
The next question from Marcia Dunn at Associated Press.
Marcia Dunn, AP. What was going through your mind? How amazed were you to see your roadster up there with Starman just cruising along with the Blue Planet? And how long will we be getting live views, do you think, from the car?
Well, I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly. Like, we'd have way better CGI if it was fake. And you know, the colors all look kind of weird in space. There's no atmospheric occlusion. You know, like everything looks too crisp. But we didn't really test any of those materials for, you know, is it space hardened or whatever, you know. So it just has the same seats that like a normal car has. It's just literally a normal car in space, which I kind of like the absurdity of that. And if you look closely, on the dashboard, there's a tiny roadster with a tiny spaceman. So, because Hot Wheels made a Hot Wheels roadster, and a friend of mine suggested, hey, why don't you put that Hot Wheels roadster with a tiny spaceman on the, you know, in the car too? I'm like, that'd be cool. Sure. So we did that. I mean, it's kind of silly and fun, but I think that's, you know, silly, fun things are important. And normally for a new rocket, you know, they'd launch like a block of concrete or something like that. I mean, that's so boring. And I think that's just the imagery of it is something that's going to get people excited around the world. And it's still tripping me out. I mean, I'm tripping balls here.
Next question.
What a British newspaper said, what are your thoughts on SpaceX? Ready? And make sure everything's still working here. Yep, it is. Okay. I respond thusly. My thoughts on the SpaceX Heavy launch? I dedicated my last Strange World show to it on Tuesday, but here are some highlights. 1. 3 camera angles on the car, but despite orbit on light and dark side of the Earth, not a single frame with stars in it. And I know a lot of people saying, well, it's light refraction and you're not going to see stars. Fine. That's why I made it number 1. But I keep going. Number 2, at the altitude the car was released, they would have been in the middle of the satellite belts, and yet no video or still shots of a satellite at any distance. Thousands of objects, polished aluminum reflects sunlight very well. I'd like to explain that real quick because there was like a small YouTube channel called the Geek Squad or something like that, like 1,000 subs. And they were going off. It's like, whoa, no, those satellites are too far away. It's like, no. In the vacuum of space, remember, there's no atmosphere, technically. You can see very, 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 very far. Very far. Because there's no atmosphere. There's no, you're not, remember, when we look at a distance, we're looking through a soup. The stuff you're breathing is just a soup. It's like a thin version of water. You know, water is 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. And what you're breathing right now is 4 parts nitrogen, 1 part oxygen. And so it's really, really soupy. So you can only see out so far. People say, why can't you see Japan from Los Angeles? It's like, well, because the density of the atmosphere is eventually going to get in the way. But if you remove the atmosphere, if it was a vacuum, you should be able to see it. The point is, if you're in space, a shiny object in a vacuum, 2 objects, you should, and the sun reflecting off of polished aluminum, you should see all sorts of little silvery flashes all over the Earth. Anyway, moving on. Number 3, no video or still shots with the moon in frame, because that would give a 3D point of reference and you could then determine location of the car. Location would have to match continents below, and it wouldn't. Yep, that's another great little mystery. Again, out of sight, out of mind, it's missed, and that is fine. You show the Earth. That's all they're showing. The blue Earth, the blue Earth. Oh, the sun, the blue Earth, the sun. No stars. Blue Earth, no satellites. But the one thing that was really, really missing was the moon. No moon. Find me a chunk of video with the moon in it. That should be in there. Thing was spinning around And remember, it was supposedly quite a ways away from the Earth, so it should be way, way closer to the moon. Why not? And did it ever go by the moon? Do we have a trajectory? Did it go anywhere near the moon, or just take off in space? They just turned off the feed, even though it was crystal clear. Why not let the feed just keep going until it gets staticky and blurred out? No, they just shut off the feed. This is our last image. Good night, everybody. Roll credits, whatever. Number 4. Elon mentioned that the car was attached as is with no modifications. If that is true, then the tires would have detonated within seconds after entering the vacuum of space, destroying the fiberglass housing around it. Absolutely true. We put all sorts of objects into vacuum. In fact, I watched a cool little video this morning of put an NFL football in a vacuum chamber. Blew up right away. I mean, exploded. A tire can withstand a lot of pressure. So the tire would, but in vacuum space, it would blow up real quick, and the explosion would be pretty solid. And again, it would damage the fiberglass housing that's around it of the car. Did not happen. And lithium batteries, anything that's pressurized, any of the fluids that are pressurized in that car are going to blow and leak and destroy. It'd be horrible. And look, I'm going off of Elon's things. No, we just took the car, mounted it to the thing. Why would he make any changes to it? Why would he make it space ready? He didn't. He says, nope, it's a normal car. He was very clear about this. So, and we're talking, you couldn't even put those tires in the car if they were deflated, because the inside of those tires wouldn't be a perfect vacuum. You would basically have to, the only way you could get this to work, and I thought about this quite a bit, you'd have to slash the tires to do it. And hope to God that the slash was enough to let all the atmosphere leak out immediately. Anyway, number 5, standard car safety glass is not rated to survive temperature swings of that magnitude. Pour hot water onto a frozen, sorry, rattling papers around, onto a frozen windshield and see what happens. Anyone that lives in a cold environment, you know this full well. And that is, you're a cold morning, you have a frozen windshield. Nobody recommends that you pour hot water onto that windshield. I have seen windshields spiderweb and shatter, just go because that's just hot water. That's going from 30 degrees or 20 degrees Fahrenheit to whatever it is, boiling, let's say 100 degrees. That's not that big of a swing, and we're talking negative 200 to positive what? What is it supposedly? Come on. Number 6, last time I checked, this doesn't go on for much longer, there were 2 companies tied to this project, SpaceX and Tesla, the latter being public. 3 different cameras and not a single logo is visible. American corporations would have paid top dollar to be anywhere on this vehicle. Every inch of that car and uniform should have been covered with a brand. NASCAR pick attached. At the very least, Tesla and SpaceX. While we're at it, why not use the Tesla flagship car, the 4-door sedan, instead of the cheaper Roadster built on a Lotus frame? Then you could charge millions for seat icons. Stormtrooper in the driver's seat, Borg riding shotgun, put Groot in the back with Iron Man. That's 4 companies, by the way. And a quick response to the privately held company reporting the truth. They are correct, although probably weren't framing it in the easiest way. With large sums of money or fame are involved, most people, and by that I mean mostly men, will lie, cheat, and steal, and sometimes kill for it. Greed is one of the 7, after all, 7 deadly sins. Private companies are really no different than governmental agencies, with the exception that they, almost done, need to go through less red tape in creating their deception. Enron happened. The financial crisis happened. SpaceX has been in bed with NASA since the beginning. Think that's a stretch? Where did they launch from? NASA should have a vested interest to keep their $20 billion a year budget intact, and SpaceX threatens that by diverting funds with successful missions. There are a lot of plot holes in the World Space Agency story. You just have to look for them. And that basically is it. That's the end of the article that I did for him. And that's going to be the end of this show. Remember, if you want to email me anything, send it to msargent23@comcast.net. And until next time, guys, stay flat.